So this week, I just won my locals and went 4-0 with Gecko Moria, which is a super fun deck. It takes advantage of the cost reduction in black. And today I'm gonna break down the deck for you guys and kind of give you some more tips on the mirror matches and just other matches and just how to play Gecko Moria and just understand the deck a little bit better. But this is my deck profile. So hope you guys enjoy. If you're new here, please like and subscribe. Again, have plenty of One Piece content on the way, especially for new players. But let's go ahead and get into the deck profile. So here is the leader right here. It is a 5-life mono black 5k leader. If you don't know what he does, it is Dawn 1 when attacking. You may pay 2 Dawn. You may trash 1 card from your hand and then trash 2 cards from the top of your deck and play up to 1 Thriller Bark Pirates type card with a cost of 4 or less from your trash. So basically with this deck, you want to put stuff in trash. You want to discard early game. So you can start playing all your characters and start just doing all the interactive stuff with the deck. So it's really fun, and it puts a fun twist on having to discard things because you don't feel as bad having to discard certain cards because you can just play it back with your leader. So super strong. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off, we are running 4 Surus. It is a 2k counter. And on play, give up to one of your opponent's characters -2 cost during this turn. So it's really useful. And I mean, I guess if you need to discard it, you can just use it for a 2k. You need to get out of a tight situation. But yeah, I mean, that -2, you're able to pop a lot of 4 costs, and you can play it with, you could play it for 1, and you could also use it to play rested with 8 cost Moria. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with this card. And again, it's a 2k counter, so it's useful no matter what. I mean, you run it in Sakazuki. And the nice thing about Moria is if you played Sakazuki in OPO5, a lot of the, pretty much almost all of the black cards you're going to run in Moria. So yeah, run 4 of Surus. Next up, we have just 2 Kuzans. I think 2 is pretty good. I think 3 and 4 is just a little too much. But getting that card draw and just kind of, you know, refreshing your hand, and also just when attacking, give up to one of your opponent's characters -4 cost during this turn. Super strong, but the downside to Kuzan is number 1, it's a brick, and also pretty much when it comes out on the board, your opponent's just going to find every way to get rid of it. I mean, you know, when a Kuzan's on the opposite side, your priority should be getting rid of it, just because it's, when attacking, is just super deadly. I mean, being able to pop like 10 and 8 costs. So yeah, definitely a really strong card, but it's not as consistent as a lot of the other cards in this deck, so that's why I'm only running 2. And I think a lot of lists only run 2, but it's come in clutch for me a couple of times. And we have 3 Borsos, which, I mean, arguably one of the best blockers in the game. You know, getting that plus 1000 power, can't be KO'd by effects. Really, the only way that you can get rid of it is in Katakuri, is if you get like an Onami trigger and being able to pop it, because it would be on your turn. If they, yes, if it would be on your turn if they take life. So that's really the only way to get rid of it, besides just swinging into it. But yeah, Orso is super good, being able to play it active with 8 cost Moria. And just, if you can't do anything on your turn, you don't want to use your leader ability, and you're on your 4 Dawn turn, so you're on your 2nd turn, you can just play it and just start building your wall. So yeah, I think 3 is good. I think I was running 4, but I cut 1 just because I just wasn't using them as much as I thought. But it does come out pretty frequently, so I think 3 is pretty good. And we are running 4 Hogbacks, which you gotta have. So Hogback is on play, you may return 2 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order, and you can add up to 1 Thriller Bark Pirates type card other than this card from your trash to your hand. Now this card's sweet because you can pretty much add any Thriller Bark card, even the 8 cost Moria, so you're able to grab it from your trash and put it in your hand if you don't see any of your Morias through the game. So this card is super good. And also, like, maybe you just don't have a lot of counter in your hand, you're able to grab it. Like if you need to grab a Sindri or just another Thriller Bark card, that you just don't have any counters, it's super good. So, and I think this is what makes Moria really strong, is the tools like this, because not a lot of decks in this game have the ability to do that. So, I mean, you have your baby fives and your Bonnies, but yeah. And also, you know, you can play it from trash with Moria's ability, so definitely want to run 4 Hogbacks. We have 4 brand news. Works pretty well for this deck, being able to put stuff in your trash. You do whiff with it, probably a little bit more than you'd like, so I'm thinking about cutting 1, but I mean, it also helps out a lot to grab Surus, and if you run Tashigi, to grab that, it's searchable. And you know, you can play it rested with 8-cost Moria. Like again, a lot of 4 and 2 costs in this deck are very crucial because you want to play those, and you get a free search off of it because you're playing it for free. I think I might cut 1 in the future, but I'm running 4 for now because it does have a 1k counter, so it is useful even if I'm not playing it, but I think 4 and 3 is solid for brand new. And we have 3 Helmeppo, which is on play, give up to one of your opponent's characters -3 cost during this turn. So this card's really good, and it's a 2 cost. So you're able to play it through Moria. So you have a lot of 2 costs and 4 costs that you're able to combo with. And then you can pop with Lucci, or you can pop with Absalom. So where this deck really shines is being able to build a board and being able to just have that removal. Now, Moria doesn't have quite as good of removal as Sakazuki does, but the fact that it has this removal and it's a 5-life leader, defensively it's really strong. Like a lot of the decks that I played against, I ended the game with like 3 or 4 life when my opponent was at like 1 or 0 for the last turn. So I think Moria being just a 5-life leader is really strong, but having the removal and having the ability to build a board, because I think Moria for sure is better about building a board and applying pressure, because you're able to play a 4-cost or less Thriller Bark card from your trash, and you want to put stuff in your trash. So yeah, but 3 of these are really good. Then we have the absolute goat of the deck. We are running, of course, a playset of the 8-cost Morias. So if you don't know what this card does, on play, choose up to 1 character card with a cost of 4 or less and 1 character card with a cost of 2 or less from your trash. Play 1 active, play the other rested. So you can do either or. You can play the 2-cost active, you can play the 4-cost rested, and vice versa. So yeah, this card is insane. And the fact that it's not leader locked, so you can use it in any other black deck or black whatever. So yeah, you're gonna see this. We're gonna start seeing this card a lot. We have been seeing this card a lot. So, but yeah, man, this card is just absolutely just goated. Being able to play this on your 10 Dawn turn and being able to pop stuff, like you play a Lucci and playing a Suru, just being able to KO stuff on the board, and also just it being a 9k is just super powerful. So yeah, you definitely want to run 4 of these. And again, it's searchable through Hogback, so you have a way to get it back in your hand if you do end up trashing it from your leader ability, or if you end up trashing it from Sindri. So yeah, super good card though. You absolutely want to run 4. We have 4 Ice Ages, and I am running 4 because I just think it's only 1 cost and being able to -5. So if you have 2 of these in your hand, you could literally KO like a 10-cost Dofi, or like again if you're doing a mirror match at 8-cost Moria. So I just think that the 1 cost -5 is super strong, and I think they're running 4. But also its trigger is really good, which is K up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less. So I mean, you could potentially get rid of like a small blocker or something, or just, you know, kind of slow your opponent down. So I think running 4 is good. If you run 3, that's totally fine, but I think 3 or 4, 3 is just necessary for sure. And then 4 is, I think, recommended in my opinion, especially since Great Eruption is going to get banned in June. So you want to have that removal. So I think 4 Ice Ages is solid. We are running 3 Sabos, which Sabo is really good in this meta right now. I know a lot of people were kind of hit and miss with Sabo, especially with Sakazuki, but you know, his on play just not being able to, none of your characters can be KO'd by effects, and you draw 2 trash too. So not only are you protecting your board, you are cleaning up your hand a bit, and you have a blocker on board, and it also has a counter. So I think this card is really good. I'm running 3 because I think 4 is a little cloggy with the deck. I think 3 is perfect, but yeah, I mean, especially late game, if you play this and you swung with like your Moria and swung with a bunch of stuff and they try to pop it, they can't do that. They can still bottom deck it, but they can't pop it. So, and especially if you're doing a mirror match, Sabo's really good in the mirror match because it protects all your stuff from Absalom or from Lucci. So yeah, really solid. I definitely think you should at least run 2 or 3, but I think 3 is where it's at. All right, guys, then we are running 4 Peronas. I know I'm kind of not going in order. I'm kind of just, I have them organized, but not by like cost. But Perona is absolutely goated early game. This card is just goated because its on play is if your opponent has 5 or more cards in their hand, choose one. Your opponent trashes 1 card from their hand, or give up to one of your opponent's characters -3 cost during the turn. Now, most of the time, I usually do the top one. I usually make them trash a card, especially, it's really good against Katakuri. Like if you go back-to-back Perona, you just absolutely just starve them out and get them out of resources, especially since Katakuri has a lot of bricks. But yeah, Perona is really good. It's also a 2K counter. So being able to play this early game is really good and just able to just starve your opponent of cards and also have a 5K body on board. So yeah, Perona is really good early game, but she's also just good in general. I mean, if you have nothing else to do, you could play it with 8-cost Moria. But yeah, this card is absolutely solid. You should 100% run 4 because you're not losing anything because it's a 2K counter, but it also has a really good ability. And we are running 4 Sindri. So similar to Perona, this card is also really good early game. 2K counter. If your leader has the Thriller Bark Pirates type, trash 5 cards from the top of your deck. So basically, you want to play this early game to get stuff in your trash, so that way you can start playing stuff in your trash and start using your leader ability like as soon as possible. So yeah, if you have this in your starting hand, I would say play it and just kind of go, just like get stuff in your trash and just start doing stuff. Get those hogbacks, get those Peronas in your trash. And maybe even play this if you can't do anything else. But yeah, it's a 2K counter also. So I mean, again, it's like similar to the Perona. You're not really losing anything playing 4. So I think the 4 of the Sindris and the 4 of the Peronas are absolute must, just because their on plays are really good, and also they're defensively really good. So yeah, this card is really good. Then of course we have 3 Rob Luccis, which we've seen quite a bit. Most of us know what it does. On play, place 3 cards from the trash at the bottom of your deck, KO up to one opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less, and then another one with 1 cost or less. So basically, this is the removal. This and the Absaloms, which are, I guess, we're going to talk about towards the end of the video, are the removal of the deck. So this is what you're going to use to just clear your opponent's board. And you can hard cast it, but a lot of the times, most people tend to combo with the 8-cost Moria and play like a Suru or play the Helmetho. Because when you do that, it's just really solid, especially, playing it with just being able to combo with it is just super good. So the fact that we have some Sakazuki removal and just a really good way to build the board is I think why this deck is just super strong, and why I think it's like for sure S tier deck. So 3 Luccis is solid. I know some people run 2. I think 3 is fine because, again, it is a brick, but you want to see it. And we have 4 Absaloms, which this is one of the newer cards. That's also one of the best cards. So basically, on play, you may return 2 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less. So similar to the Lucci, this is the removal of the deck, but you're also building a board. So yeah, I mean, basically, if from leader ability, I'm going to trash it, and then if I have it in my hand, I'll trash it, and then if I don't have it, hopefully I can get it in by trashing the top 2 from the leader ability. So yeah, you basically, kind of similar to Perona, again, super good early game, super good mid game. I mean, being able to KO like some blockers and just being able to KO like less stuff on the board. So it's just really solid removal, and it's a 5K body. So Absalom is a great card. You for sure need to run 4. And then lastly, we have 4 Great Eruptions, which I think most people tend to run 4 or 3, but we all know what this card does. Sadly, it is going to be leaving the deck and the game in June. draw one card, then give up to one of your opponent's characters -2 during this turn, and trigger, your opponent chooses one card from their hand and trashes it. So the only downside to this card is there are a lot of times where I end up kind of wasting it and just using it for the card draw, like early game. Because if you have it in your starting hand, you sometimes do kind of have to waste it just because if you don't have anything else to do. But I mean, like mid game and like late game, if you have this and Ice Age, you can pretty much pop almost anything in the game, you know, unless if for some, like anything that you're able to KO off of, you can do it with these two. So, really solid card. And yeah, I mean, it's understandable why it's getting banned, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we end up replacing with this card, because that's something to kind of start to think about. So, but yeah, really solid card. All right, guys, and real quick, I kind of want to go over some cards that you could sub in, or maybe that I'm considering adding. I think I said, maybe I talked about at the beginning of the video, Hina would be a really solid option because being able to play it with the A cost and give something -4 is really strong. And then Tashigi is a 2k counter, but activate main, you may rest this character, give up to something -2 during the turn. So you can do that every single turn as long as she stays on the board. And then Rebecca, which we all know what this card does, blocker, add up to 1 black character card with a cost of 3 to 7 other than Rebecca from your hand, and then play 1 black character with 3 or less from your hand rested. So not only is it a blocker, but you're basically just spamming the board. You're cheating things out. So there's just a lot of options with this. I know a lot of people have been running like 2 of the Hina and 2 of the Rebecca. My list is pretty standard and straightforward. It's a pretty regular, kind of normal Moria list, but I think later on I might add these in and maybe like 1 Tashigi and just kind of see how it plays and see if I like it or not, but it seems to be doing really well. So that's always an option if you want to do that, or if you're missing certain cards, these are great options. And then as far as matchup goes, I played against a Zoro Sanji deck, which was a pretty chill match. And then I had 2 mirror matches. Then I had a green-purple Dofi, surprisingly. And really, the hardest was definitely the mirror matches. One of them was the non-Navy Moria format, so it was a little bit less stressful than doing the regular one. But with Moria, the thing that you got to keep in mind, especially in the mirror match, is really being careful when you play the ACOS Moria, because you really want to play it during your 10 Dawn turn, so you're able to do other stuff and maybe play out like a Suru or play out Helmepo. But it just depends. And then the other thing is being careful about Perona, because again, Perona's ability is your opponent has to have 5 cards in hand. So if you have 5 cards in hand, you should probably counter out, because not only are you getting a card in trash, but they can't do their ability instead of taking life. So I kind of learned that the hard way, but I also like kind of lucked out because he ended up not playing a Perona. But in my head, I was thinking about that. So just a couple of things to keep in mind for any Moria players who haven't done a lot of mirror matches. Just keep those things in mind. But yeah, overall, my matches were super fun. And again, some of them were challenging, some of them were fairly chill. But yeah, got the winner Kaya from this. So I really like Moria. I think it's a really fun deck, and I'm really excited. And hopefully I can play it in OP07. Like I said, Great Eruption is getting banned, so I have to start thinking of what to sub out for it. But I think that Moria is, without a doubt, the strongest leader to come out of OP06. So I'm really excited to play this deck moving forward. But anyway, guys, that's my deck list. If you guys want to use it, feel free. If you guys have any recommendations, or if you have any ideas to kind of spice up Moria, put it in the comments. I'm always down to hear. Again, guys, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Got more content on the way as always. We'll see you next time.